Warning.
Watch very closely now. 3, 2, 1. Bzow! Check that out.
The following podcast features terrible jokes.
You know you can use Hot Wheels cars when you need to make a saving throw in D&D? Every car is die-cast.
Usually about board games.
We want the fun. Gotta have that fun.
Must insist that no one attempt to recreate any joke performed on this podcast.
We had less technical issues than $1 million company.
All right!
This is Boards and Swords.
Hello out there, you beautiful people. Welcome to Boards and Swords. This is a podcast where we have bad jokes, good folks, and some tabletop gaming. We're a little off schedule. It's a Wednesday. We just had a show. What is going on? Well, here to help me figure it out, as always, is Mr. Philip Herbig.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to, Chris, what day is it?
Wednesday.
What day is it, Chris? It's
Hump Day! There's going to get to a point where no one knows what we're talking about.
It is.
Like, what, we get like 10 years out, and someone's going to be like, what is... So, but...
Back in my day, animals made funny jokes on the television.
But here with us also, we have Mr. Xander Tabler. Is it Tabler?
Tabler, you got it.
Okay. From Fantasy Flight Games itself here. How are you doing?
Doing great. Super excited to be here. Ready for the bad jokes, as you know, as advertised. But super excited to be chatting about Star Wars Unlimited with you all today.
That's right. That's right. So what is it that you do at FFG?
So I am FFG's community engagement specialist. So my work is around working with content creators in the community, getting people excited about the game, getting people informed about games that we have, and helping build strong, lasting communities around them, where people can come together and chat about, you know, their favorite games.
So he gets paid basically to do what we're doing for free.
Right?
All right. Well, we are definitely going to be talking a lot today about Star Wars Unlimited. But before we get to that, we've got some news stories.
News!
All righty. So I'm not really sure why Benedict Cumberbatch's latest Marvel movie was called The Multiverse of Madness. They should have called it Strange New Worlds. And so Star Trek Adventures is getting a second edition. That's wild. It feels like this game just came out.
It does.
So second edition adds playable Klingons, Romulans, and Strange New Worlds this summer. Boldly roll where you've gone before. So
I'm looking at the progression of like what they right there in the title. Klingons, Romulans, and Strange New Worlds. So you're talking about your 23rd century characters.
yeah.
It's the exact same progression that Star Trek Online had.
I figured that's where you were going to go with it. Yeah.
Klingons, Romulans, 23rd century characters.
So Star Trek Adventures, its second edition this summer. A refreshed core rulebook themed around the recent original series prequel Strange New Worlds will polish up the game's 2D20 system, as well as introducing expanded character creation options while staying compatible with older supplements. First released back in 2017. I was thinking it was closer to like 2019, but it does make sense. Because there was like a couple of years you ran stuff for them at Gen Con.
Yeah, just that 1 year.
Oh, it was just 1 year?
Did some cool. Yep, did some play testing stuff. Got some money off of that bundle that I bought.
Yeah.
Which I popped into Drive-Thru RPG. It's had so many updates since the last time I checked. I had so much stuff to download.
That is the best part about Drive-Thru RPG is like once it's like linked to your account and they're like, oh, you know what? We're gonna correct this with some errata. Boop, it's right there.
Here's an errata. Here's some free supplements. And I was like, all right, yeah, buddy.
Yeah, in the 7 years since, Star Trek Adventures has seen the release of supplements and campaigns inspired by the many iterations of Star Trek, from the original series all the way through to Lower Decks, which we didn't have them on the show to talk about. We had them talk about the Lower Decks and the Captain's Log solo book. Yep, which they then mentioned right here. At the time, so the original, I believe it was this Gen Con or this year or last year recently that they did the original rulebook in like a Klingon theme.
I do. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah. They claim that it marked the first time a dedicated Klingon tabletop RPG had been available in over 3 decades. So, since Star Trek presented a diverse setting from the very beginning, I felt it was important the core rulebook present a more diverse spread of character possibilities beyond just the Federation, said project manager Jim Johnson, who we had on the show.
All right. Hey.
You'll see a selection of fully playable non-Federation species in the core, expanding our group's gameplay possibilities right from the start. So, Philip, that means we can start a new actual play, keeping up with keeping up with the Kardashians.
I'd be down. We can. Yeah.
I had to try and make sure I was saying the right one.
Keeping up with the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Which so many times on TikTok, the subtitles, if they mention Kardashians or Cardassia, it autocorrects to Kardashians.
Yeah.
Which makes it that much more hilarious.
So it looks like the core rule book for the second edition is going to release at Gen Con. Starter set to follow this autumn. But I did see, because I got emails about it, you can sign up for the beta right now, I believe. I don't know if the beta rules and stuff are out yet, but I know you could like put your email out on a list so that they would then, message you whenever they
maybe get my name in that book too.
So yeah, what's your thoughts on all this, Philip?
I want my name in the book.
As we know, Philip all about them like getting names in books.
Yeah,
and
I'm
games.
not gonna spend $250 again. It wasn't that worth it, but
all right.
This does look interesting enough to get me to. All right, come on, Modifius.com.
All right, moving on. I decided to reproduce copies of the Batmobile and sell them. I was driving one around and got pulled over because my ID was expired. Wasn't quite what I was expecting when people told me I'd have a licensing issue. So this one is kind of funny because we literally just had him on as well, but he couldn't talk about it. That's why he had wanted to get on earlier or later, but it just didn't work out with our schedule. FanRoll licensed D&D from Hasbro for dice products. So FanRoll by Metallic Dice Games has announced that they have entered a licensing agreement with Hasbro to create products for brands that include Dungeons and Dragons, Monopoly, and what else, Philip?
What else?
More Hero Quests.
Hero Quest. The best thing about Hero Quest. More Hero Quest.
So it'll coincide with the brand's 50th anniversary and will offer up a wide range of items tied to that milestone. We'll make a series of collectible dice that pay homage to the original sets of D&D dice made 50 years ago. They need to pay homage to like the you remember those dice that they found in like the Romans, the like stone ones?
Yes.
I need somebody to make an homage to those.
Actually, I think I saw some of that stuff because it was like was it Roman or Egyptian?
I don't know, because it could also have been like cuneiform, maybe also too.
It could have been, yeah. But I think I saw a whole bunch of memes.
Yeah,
I saw a whole bunch of memes of like curses and stuff. It's like, put those back. Don't roll those.
Yeah, exactly. Go dice roll. It'll also include beholder inclusion dice, which I don't know what that means, but it makes me think maybe it's like a dice with little mini beholders inside, which that would be dope. And a Dome of Destiny automatic dice spinner, which randomizes dice by spinning them wildly.
Oh,
that's interesting.
It reminds me of Trouble.
Yeah, the Pop-O-Matic.
Yeah, man.
No, I need somebody to make a Beyblade launcher for dice, where it's got like a compartment that like you just rip it and it just like spins it and opens up.
No, 100% not.
Why?
Because I'm aiming it straight at your face, and you don't want that.
Depends on what the dice are made of. Foam
I'm gonna
dice? Okay.
No, I'm taking those easy roller metal D20s. It's like, hey Chris, just a little more to your left, a little more to your.
Yeah. We approach the category as fans and want to bring out a whole new way to play and celebrate the brand. So I promise I did not purposely include 2 stories off the bat of people that we had talked about on this show. So, but yeah, so lots more good stuff coming for FanRoll. They were, Neil was super excited when he was talking about it on the show. So it only sounds like there's going to be, as we've learned, it seems like the further a property gets away from Hasbro, the better it gets. Because, like, if you've seen the new Hero Quest or the HeroScape stuff that Renegade's putting out, and all the RPGs that they're using the Hasbro properties for, like, killer. And it's like, how is somebody else doing Hasbro better than Hasbro?
Right.
So, all right. If you have a fascination with Italy's ancient history, is that a romance? It was just okay.
Yeah, that was a little okay.
So this one, it was a sponsored post on Dicebreaker, but I like I said, I always try and find weird RPGs to throw in here. But it's called Our Brilliant Ruin. I need to send this to our friend Heather. It's an RPG that brings the social drama and romance of Downton Abbey to a doomed world with no happy endings. So struggle your way up the social ladder and to survive. It's an RPG that mixes the social drama of Downton Abbey with the bleak apocalypse of Arkham Horror. The setting, the Dramark is a fictional world of Edwardian-influenced aesthetic, Franco-British Art Nouveau, and Art Deco inspirations, with existential horror at its edges. The Dramark itself is doomed to inevitable consumption by an unnatural law known as the Ruin. With the world's fate already sealed, players' characters aren't tasked with somehow saving it from the inevitable, but making the most of the short time that they have left. How characters spend the apocalypse may come down to which of the 3 factions they associate with. Character backgrounds will play into their emotions and motivations, steering the outcome of dice rolls made by the players during the sessions. Our Brilliant Ruin uses an original gameplay system allowing players to assemble a pool of 6-sided dice by combining their characters' personality, traits, and skills together to resolve tests, possibly drawing on their intuition or benevolence. I love how they use an original gameplay system, and it's like, okay, so it's just you're putting dice together by combining 2 things on your character sheet. Like, pretty sure I've seen that in other systems. It just may have involved a different dice.
That is possible.
Like, I think the way this is phrased, it sounds like Vampire the Masquerade, just with D6s instead of D10s.
Yep.
You need to roll more brills on 6s than glooms on 1s to succeed. With the option to use... Okay, so this is different. A limited amount of passion to add 2 dice able to succeed on a 5 or a 6. But the knowledge that pushing yourself too often can increase chance of failure later on. So, yeah. Let's see. Hey, look, the writers boast credits from Vampire the Masquerade and World of Darkness series. Go figure.
Almost like you knew.
So the Kickstarter campaign's now. Oh, there's even a comic book series and audio drama planned to launch later in 2024, and a video game in development. Man, they got
they're checking all the boxes.
They're checking all the boxes before they even got they even went to Kickstarter. They're like, we're making this a property from the get-go.
Oh, hey.
Audio dramas. You don't hear enough about audio dramas. Although they're nice. I downloaded. There was a humble bundle I have with a bunch of Warhammer 40k audiobooks, and in amidst them there was like one or two audio dramas, and like one of
Okay.
them had like Catherine Tate from Doctor Who in it. Well, she was also in
Okay.
the. She's been in a bunch of stuff. She was in The Office, and she had her own show for a while. But like I was just like, "Hubba?" It was just
British Office or American Office?
American Office. She was a
Okay,
British
gotcha.
actor in the American Office.
Gotcha.
Yeah, in one of the later seasons after Steve Carell left.
Okay.
All right. Moving on. People say there's no I in team, but there is an us in villainous. So we literally talked, what was it, like 2 episodes ago about the Funko designers, Funko Games, that group, Prospero Hall, all of them got shut down and laid off. Well, I guess we really should have seen this coming, as they all banded together and made a new studio. So Villainous, Jurassic World, and Jaws board game designers form new studio after Funko Games layoffs. So the new creation is Tempest Workshop. They embody being human, creating together, and having moxie. So yeah, Funko nearly laid off the entire staff in January after selling the name, rights, and portfolio to Goliath Games. So some of the creators, like all the Villainous games was done through them. The Jurassic World Legacy of Isla Nublar, which was like a big legacy game, had a lot of buzz around it. But it looks like they not only did they cobble up like all the designers, there's even people behind the scenes. Like I knew some of the marketing people that had been with Funko Games, and then eventually got let go before they even shut everything down. But some of them have now been like brought into this game studio together. So it's really about put right what once went wrong.
Okay.
So the beauty of the Prospero Hall team was our people, while the previous collective experience in tabletop, mobile, and AAA games were rock solid. The Prospero Hall team was also a group of musicians, theater folks, visual artists, novelists, and material scientists from the maker movement, all of which informed our drive with deep, narrative-rich game design. So, it'll definitely be interesting to see what that comes next, because it definitely is a creative group of folks. I mean, like Villainous was very popular, so it kind of sucks they won't be making any more of that, because I know people will want more of that. But it sounds like that's going to be Goliath Games probably now. But they'll just have to make up their own stuff now.
Gotcha.
And then it feels funny, like I was going to make a joke, how long before Asmodee buys them? And then we have like somebody from Asmodee here. All right.
So what's the word over there, Xander? And how long before Asmodee?
I got nothing to offer there.
As he's sending like texts, like, "Hey boss, I got this. There's this new
got this thing that I just heard about. We should do this.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Listen to this."
You may not understand it, but your kids are gonna love it.
Oh man. Then lastly, the moment that I know at least one of our guys have been waiting for. I've been waiting to talk about this story because it's so great. But first, so I was getting beat really badly in a 40K tournament that just randomly all of a sudden my opponent gets out garden tools and starts blasting my minis with water. I knew competition was rough, but I didn't think I'd get hosed. So this is completely hilarious. Powerwash Simulator teams up with Warhammer 40K for a special DLC pack. I really thought, like, I had to check to see if it was April 1st when I saw this. Like, this can't be real. But there is a trailer for it and everything.
That's amazing.
So I didn't even know Powerwash Simulator was a game. But it doesn't surprise me since they have that like there's that they call it like chore core is like the type the genre where it's like lawnmower
okay.
simulator or
Is that where like farming simulator goes into that
yeah,
too?
like all the things that have actual like real world jobs and people just want to like pretend to have another job, I guess.
Not even jobs. There's PC building simulator
Yeah.
with like an NVIDIA DLC pack and an AMD DLC pack.
I'm pretty sure I saw that there is a board game stacking a game where it's like simulating putting them on shelves. Like, how are you going to organize your games? I don't know if that was a joke, but I'm pretty sure I saw it.
That would be that you could try to optimize your space if it got like the proper dimensions in there. You're like, where can I fit all my stuff, man?
Yeah. So, unique collaboration between Future Lab and Square Enix, the Powerwash Simulator's latest DLC themed around the Warhammer 40k universe is slated for release. So this has technically already come out because it says February 27th. It was made at IGN Fest. It introduces players to a new dimension of gameplay with the Powerwash Simulator environment. Tasked with cleaning Imperial vehicles and machinery, players will dive into the rich lore of the 40k universe, engaging with well-known machines and vehicles such as the Land Raider, the Blood Angel's Thunderhawk, among many others. Which, fun fact, apparently, like you hear the term Land Raider, the tank, one of the big tanks. Apparently, like you just think like, oh, it gets a name because it raids across the land. No, apparently somebody retconned it in a book to where a guy named something Land made it, so it's Land's Raider.
Ah.
So this DLC not only enriches the Powerwash Simulator experience with a Warhammer 40k twist, but also introduces an exclusive Adeptus Mechanicus character model and a custom Mark II Aqua Sancta Arcubus Power Washer. This edition aims to provide a unique blend of gaming experiences, combining the satisfaction of power washing with the intricate details of the Warhammer 40k universe. It's only $8.
Yeah, it's only $8. Yeah.
Like
Online co-op.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The little paragraph right above that. Like, hey Chris, come help me wash my tank.
I mean, like, no joke. This is literally what the game. Okay, how did I get out of? Okay, there we go. Back up. Yeah, like here. Let's just wash off the dreadnought. Look at that! Look at that sexy beast. Imperial. We got an Imperial Knight here.
Oh, there we go.
That's probably an armiger, actually, judging by the size. Because it's not that much bigger than the person.
Yeah.
That's, oh my gosh. They literally, we talked about on Monday, they will make a game for anything. It literally. Is it wrong? I kind of want this, though. Just
all right, hang on. Let me pull up Steam, and let me go. What do we got?
Well, oh yeah. How much is the base game?
Yeah, that's what you want. That's what you want. Power Wash Simulator. That's $25.
That's not bad.
Okay,
That's wait for a Steam sale. Put it on my wish list.
It is Steam Deck compatible verified.
Yes. All right. So that's our news. Although I do have one piece of news that's not on the story here, and that is dice are loose in the mail. Those
Woohoo!
2021 and 2022 dice that I've been like talking about forever, and there's even some people that aren't even patrons anymore. Well, keep an eye on your mailboxes because there are dice heading your way. I've gotten like everything out. The desk is clear. Now I have to think about what I'm doing for 2023.
The only thing we ask is open the package, immediately flip it out onto the table. We need to know what you rolled. That's all we ask.
I even put little sticky notes in there that says, "Sorry, this took so long." Which that was a whole weird thing in itself because I had some of them in bubble envelopes and some of them in bubble mailers. And the post office didn't like the bubble mailers, and they charged me package rates for the mailers and not the envelopes. And the mailers were smaller than the envelopes. It was ridiculous. But they told me it wasn't like they were just like, just so you know, I have to charge these at a different rate. I'm just like, I'm not. It's like if I take these back and repackage them, it could be like another month before they go out. I just ship them.
Yep. At that point, just go for it.
So, speaking of Patreon, Philip, why don't you tell us about Patreon?
Patreon.com/boards and swords, boardsandswords.com/Patreon. Both of those are going to get you where you need to go. We've got levels. We've got levels. Okay. At your basic level, you get access to. There are super secret channels in the Discord that nobody knows about. They've got a little lock.
Yep.
On their thing. You get access to that. Okay. At the higher levels, you get dice sent out to you on a 4-year basis. You get some dice sent out there every once in a while. You get dad jokes. That's the best part. Chris is gonna dad joke your favorite games. Okay. I'm not gonna be there with the soundboard. But I could be. You put that in as the request. We're like, we need Philip's commentary.
I do it on the show.
That's right. He did do it on the show like 4 years ago.
No, okay, whatever. But you know what, Philip? I know our big PS Resistance that we've been talking about for like the past year, as we've been wanting to run the Love Mutants of Castle Heartache. But
we just need to do it.
I think my heart aches in the sense that I don't think enough people really want it. Apparently, nobody wants it because we've not no increase in backers. So apparently, nobody wants this.
They even modeled for the cover, guys.
But you know what they might want?
What do they want?
What
do the people want, Chris?
And again, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing this out there. So we all know how much I hate the D&D storyline Tyranny of Dragons, right? Like
okay.
I
had to think for a second because I enjoyed it.
Well, the second half was fine. I'm primarily talking about the first half.
Okay, gotcha.
Horde of the Dragon.
The 4 weeks straight of
just
the caravan.
And we're walking. Yes, that's the part I didn't play as much in Tyranny of Dragons because I was traveling a lot for work during that time. But anyways, regardless, I've made it a joke that I hate Horde of the Dragon Queen so much. But at one point, I had a brainchild. I even talked about it on the show. Is like, what if I were to rewrite it in how I would run it, like my version of that game, like
All right.
And so I started kind of pondering ideas, and I have kind of an idea of a universe that I could set it in, that kind of capitalizes on my dad jokes, basically. In fact, one of the key ideas I think I want to do is if you manage to make a pun during the game, you get inspiration.
Oh,
that kind of thing.
It's a good mechanic, yeah.
But I was thinking, like, I've had these ideas, like, okay, I really want, like, at one point I was like, I'm gonna wait until we get like to a certain level, but I really want to write this, and I was thinking that because I'm gonna need to play test it, and I don't necessarily want to play test it with our group because they've already played Tyranny of Dragons, and I don't want that kind of feedback in. But I mean, you can play if you want, Philip. But get the cat tail out of the way. I was thinking that I could use our patrons as a sounding board for doing some play tests. Starting with our higher tiers. So like the higher you pay, the more you get the first dibs at a slot at the table, the virtual table, and then we'll fill in seats with some dollar people. Maybe we'll rotate some people out or something. So it's just an idea I had. Let me know in the super secret Discord if that's something that you would be interested in. But yeah,
Sounds good to me. I'm digging it.
but that's enough about D&D. We want to talk about Star Wars.
It's D&D.
No, it's not. It's
Sorry.
Star Wars. That's what we're here to talk about. So,
Uh-oh.
what's that?
Did you lose him?
We might have lost him.
I'm still here.
Hey, he's moving again. There we go.
Okay. I froze up.
Yep.
Okay. But yes, we're gonna turn it over to Xander and tell us. So you need to pitch me this game. What is Star Wars Unlimited?
So, Star Wars Unlimited is a fast-paced strategic trading card game filled with Star Wars characters, moments, vehicles, all the things that you love about Star Wars on the tabletop. Of course, our first set has to be a little more specific. We can't just say all of Star Wars at once. That's not feasible to fit into one card game. So the first one focuses on the Galactic Civil War. The card game is a game that focuses on playing units on your board in either a ground arena or space arena. So that way, you have your X-Wings and your Star Destroyers on one side and your heroic Luke versus Vader battle happening on the other side, similar to what would happen maybe in like a Star Wars media of some sort, like a movie or anything, where you'd see both a space battle and a ground battle happening simultaneously. And your goal in this game is to deal damage to your opponent's base until it has 0 health remaining, and then your enemy is defeated, and you win the game.
So anyone that's played, or anyone that's been a gamer of any kind, has known that there's been a lot of different Star Wars card games over the years. I mean, all the way back to the Decipher one. What's compare and contrast a little bit. You don't have to get into specific details, but what is something that is different about Star Wars Unlimited, but also something that someone that enjoyed those games might enjoy about Star Wars Unlimited?
Yeah, I think one of the big things is that this has a back and forth action system. So if you played Star Wars Destiny, you'll recognize that as I take an action, you take an action, we go back and forth, playing a card, attacking with the unit, doing those different actions that you can do. So that's really a cool part of that that will feel familiar if you played Star Wars Destiny, but it takes on a new flavor here as you're playing more cards as units rather than having a ton of cards on the field to start. I think the theme is obviously at the forefront of this. The cards and mechanics work to bring you that Star Wars flavor to this, and so you'll see things like the card on the screen right now, Obi-Wan Kenobi, who when he's defeated will give experience to another unit, and even more experience, I believe you can draw a card if they are a Force unit as well. So
Yep.
you can use this wise mentor to sacrifice him as a Sentinel, so that way you can help Luke Skywalker become the Jedi he needs to be there in the game, which is really cool. Especially Obi-Wan Kenobi. That was a brilliant card to pull up right away because it's one of my favorite cards.
Awesome. Yeah, I got a demo of this at Gen Con last year, and that was like the immediate first thing. Is like, this is like the spiritual successor to Star Wars Destiny. There's a lot under the hood that reminds me a lot of that game, just minus the custom dice, which was probably one of the weakest points in that game, because it probably just made I know nothing about how, but my guess is that was very expensive to make.
Yeah, definitely manufacturing cost along with custom dice for each character and things like that. So yeah, it definitely, the action system is it feels very similar to that in that way. But you also still do have characters on board as well, which is similar to a lot of different games. But you have a leader that starts in play as well as a base, and so that leader is an iconic character from Star Wars. This, like, the 2-player starter has Luke and Vader.
Yep,
makes sense. It's like the Cloud City clash there. And so you have that leader that has an action the whole game. They're sitting there, they're doing their thing. You can build your whole deck around this undeployed leader, but at a certain point in the game, you get to bring that leader out as a unit, which is like the climax of this battle of, okay, now Luke Skywalker is in the arena, he has shown up, and he can start doing damage or healing his ally, or shielding his allies, doing the Luke Skywalker thing. Which is really cool to see, and it has a lot of that. Like I mentioned, the flavor of some of those cards is the leaders feel like those leaders are coming onto the board in that way, which is really cool.
So you get that epic moment of like Luke storming on the field only to be shot by that random guy over there because your opponent has prepared for it.
Yeah, your opponent. That's a big part of the game since it's back and forth actions is being ready to when they come out because they come out as a certain threshold of resources. So you can guess, okay, once they hit 6 resources, Luke Skywalker's coming out. What do I have in the back of my head here to make sure I'm ready to handle Luke Skywalker entering the arena? Because that's a big deal. The same thing with Darth Vader. When he enters there, he's handing out damage with his on attack and with his on attack ability and his attack. So he can just mow down some of your opponent's units. And it's important that you have a game plan going in for when that happens.
Right. And speaking, you talked about resources. I love this. It's become very popular in a lot of modern games, but you always have like the mana screw that you hear about in Magic. It's like, I drew no resource cards. Well, this game doesn't have that problem because you could just take any card and put it face down, and now it's a resource, right?
Yeah. So every round, basically, you get to draw 2 cards during the refresh phase. And so instead of just drawing 1 card where you're like, okay, hopefully this is a good card, and then you put it down as a resource, you get to draw 2. And then from your new hand of however many cards, you get to place 1 down as a resource. And so you're never stuck just grabbing a card off the top and putting down as a resource and then having nothing in hand. You always still have options. And I think that's one of the most interesting parts of the game is that there's always this decision to be made at the beginning of the round is, do I save this card for 3 rounds from now because I think it's going to be really cool? Or do I hope another one shows up? Or is it more important to think about the here and now because this card can make a huge difference on the board at this exact moment?
Right.
And so you get a resource, any card. It does not matter what card it is. You just get to choose one from your full hand, place it face down, and that's now your resource. And there's other ways to cheat out resources with like a super laser technician. When they're defeated, they become a resource and things. But for the most part, you and your opponent are going back and forth getting 1 new resource every round.
Yeah, Philip, what do you think about
I'm
that?
I'm liking that system. I'm liking that a lot because it every once because I mean we've done it in a bunch of cards. You draw this card and you're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Why did I draw this? This card is horrible.
Or like you're like 2 turns in, you're like, can we just end this game? Because like
Yeah.
I have not drawn anything, and
I've drawn 8 mana cards. I
Yeah.
have nothing to fight you with. Can we just?
Yeah, 2 cards that are usable potentially each round is a huge difference maker, and you don't have to resource any round. Usually, you want to at the beginning of the game to get to the point where your leader deploys.
Get a base.
Yeah, but at some point you say, well, my leader's deployed and nothing in my deck costs more than 7 resources. I can just hold on to 2 cards. So the rest of the game, I'm just drawing 2, which is great.
Gotcha. So I was trying to. Oh, here we go. This is what I was looking for. So why don't you walk us through what the game entails as far as like buying the product? Like, okay, someone's enjoyed.
In your local store right now, so you just feel free to stop by and ask about it. But it's basically set up for that pre-release week before a set drops in order to get you set up with 6 cards or 6 packs of cards. So that way you can play a game of Sealed against all the other people at your store. It also comes with punch-out tokens and a rule book and a deck building guide and different things to help you, really dive in at that first day. And so those won't be available. Those are very limited run. They won't be available throughout the lifespan of the set. It's just specifically for this like getting started section of this. And then there's the 2-player starter, like I mentioned, has Luke and Vader. Perfect entry point for somebody who is interested in the game but doesn't know a lot about deck building or isn't quite sure about hopping in right away. And so it has 2 fully built decks. They are the Luke Skywalker deck and the Darth Vader deck. It also comes with tokens and a play mat or 2 play mats and everything else you need to get started with 2 players, which is really cool. And the decks are fully built. There's a couple of cards that are exclusive to these decks, but you get a play set of 3 of them in each one. So you don't have to worry about, I need to go out and buy 3 starter decks because there's a one of this really important card for what my deck I want to build to take to this tournament is going to be. You just buy 1 2-player starter and you got everything you need, which is really cool. And then there's the booster boxes, which are 24 packs of 16 cards. In each one of them, and that's where you're going to want to. The booster packs are $5 a piece, or $120 usually for a booster display, and so that's usually where you're going to go to, upgrade your deck. You're going to start popping packs so you can find those different cards and different leaders and things, because the 2-player starter comes with Luke and Vader. If you're a real big Boba Fett fan, that's where you're going to find the Boba Fett leader card,
Right.
or Harrison duel or somebody. So that's where you're looking for those things. And all the boosters are set up so you can play draft and sealed with them as well. So you can play some of those limited formats.
Gotcha. Now, how many cards are in this first set, right? The Spark of Rebellion set.
There are 252 cards in Spark of Rebellion. 10 of those cards are exclusive to, I believe 10, to the starter deck, but the rest can all be found in packs. So Luke and Vader, unfortunately, those leaders are not found in packs. They're only found in the starter, but then there are 16 other leaders that you can find while you're opening packs.
I do like that the exclusive is to the starter pack, though, versus like this is, unless you buy this collector's deluxe edition, you'll never get these. But it's like, you know, if I just buy the starter, then I've already got like cards that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And we want to make sure that even like things like OP, like you talked about with, oh, I had to go buy this specific thing. All of our OP promos are also they're not mechanically exclusive. They are all
Like
different
alternate
versions
all.
of cards. Yep, alternate art, alternate frames, different things like that. And so, because we want this to be easy for people to go in, jump into the game, find the cards that they want to find, and know exactly where they are. And holding people to being able to go to a local store, or hopefully have a local store near them, is not conducive to people being able to find those cards that they're really looking for and want to compete with.
Right. And you brought up OP, organized play. And then moving into also, I'm seeing like on the how to play. I've got it pulled up here. There is like, looks like is it 4 different ways to play?
Yeah. There's 4 different ways to play that are supported at launch. So the first one is Premier. That's like your classic 50 card deck, a leader, a base, 1v1, back and forth. You show up with a fully built deck and you play each other. Exactly what you would imagine for a card game. We also are supporting 2 limited formats, which are draft and sealed. So sealed is where you open 6 packs, build a deck with whatever you find in those 6 packs, including the leaders, and play against each other that way. Which is a super fun way to jump into the game if you're interested in opening packs and you're like, hey, I don't have a fully built deck yet. Maybe like this weekend when you're at release parties and things like that is, oh, I don't have the time to put together a 50 card deck immediately. Maybe I'll put together a 30 card deck out of these 6 packs and play this way. And then we also have draft, where you are opening packs, passing them in a circle, drafting leaders, and then drafting all the cards out of those packs as well. Which is another fun way, like sealed, to play with a limited number of packs instead of building a full card and having a fully optimized deck beforehand. And then finally is Twin Suns, which is my personal favorite format. And it's a multiplayer 3 to 4 player format with decks with 1 of each type of card. So it's a singleton format. You can only have 1 of each, and you have 2 leaders instead of 1. They both have to be heroic or villainous, is the one caveat there. But you do get 2 leaders and a base, and you play almost the exact same way as the base game, but there is a couple other counters. Instead of claiming initiative, you can also, do damage to your opponent's bases as a way to end your round, or draw a card as a way to end a round and put it on the bottom of your deck. So there's different functions that help end the round with 3 to 4 players, because there's no good way to end with just 1 initiative counter, which is how the normal Premier games go.
Gotcha. How many cards is that? Still also 50 cards for the
It is currently 50, just for these first 3 sets, and then once the 4th set drops, it'll become an 80 card singleton format instead of 50. Yeah. So for now it is 50, just until the card pool gets a little larger and there's more
Commander. Sorry, I had something in my throat there.
I'm bad. I was going through the like the build a deck, the deck builder on there, and there's a card. It's Luke's lightsaber. I'm like, all right, cool. Any version of that specific lightsaber I ever find in what, like Anakin or Luke or any of that, yeah, I'm changing the name to Youngling Slayer 3000.
Slayer 3000.
I just thought that was the best meme. When Rey's holding that dagger, this dagger has done evil. You're holding the Youngling Slayer 3000, okay? Like, let's understand what weapons you have. Okay. So just also paying attention, there are unique cards
Yes, there are
Okay.
unique cards. So some of those cards are named characters or named things like you said, Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, or Darth Vader's lightsaber, different things like that that are specific entities that only can exist on the board at one at a time. If they are that specific one. So if there's like Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight on the field, you cannot have another Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight that you play. However, if you have
Gotcha.
the Luke Skywalker leader, whose subtitle is blanking for me, unfortunately, you can have those two Lukes on the field or in the arena and on the field at the exact same time, because they have different subtitles and different stats and
Okay.
abilities.
Gotcha.
You know,
But
just
they
like
are unique.
just like you can
Oh,
have
so-
several different YT 1300 Corvettes out there, but there's only one
That's right.
Millennium
there's only
Falcon.
one. There's only one aluminum Falcon. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
So
there would be so in sealed. All right, you got your 6-packs. You pop them open. You make your deck. If the RNG gods decide that I'm gonna have 6 different cards that all say Luke's lightsaber, can I still throw them in my deck and just make it a resource card?
you can, yes. So it's the 3 ofs in the
Okay.
deck is what you can do for all of it. But you can have as many as you like if they're different names and things. But yeah, you can always resource. So if you have Luke Skywalker's lightsaber on Luke Skywalker, and you have that unique card in hand, you're like, I don't know what to do with it. That's a perfect place to put it. Is resource
It's a
it.
resource
You don't have to worry
now.
about it.
All
But-
right. All right.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
because
they
you're
get a whole-
opening 6, you're not the deck is not all 6 of those booster packs. I mean, you could.
I mean,
but-
you could. Yeah.
I will say that I jumped the gun there a little bit. As sealed as you can have more than 3 of
Mhm.
for
Okay.
any of your decks. So if you happen to open 5 Boba Fett's, I don't know the odds of that. Very small. But if you happen to open 5 Boba Fett's, you could put 5 Boba Fett's in your deck. The same rules would be on the field at all times, but in sealed you can have more than the 3 in your deck at a time.
Okay.
So-
Oh, yeah, this is cool.
Because the game relies on you having a hero and a base, what's the percentages of getting those in a booster pack? Like, are you always going to get a hero and a base in a booster pack?
Yep. So your
Okay.
16 cards include 1 hero, 1 leader, and 1 base. And so those leaders and bases are always on the front of the pack. So when you open one up, you can slide out that card when you draft, because it's important to be able to do that. Because in draft, you draft the leaders first before you go through the rest of the pack.
Yeah.
Everybody takes all the leaders out of their packs, and you can pass them around. So there's a 100% chance of a leader and a base for all your packs, which is easy to do. But you don't actually have to draft the base while you're playing. The bases all go into one pile in the middle as you're playing draft or sealed, and you can always use whatever common base that you find is
Gotcha.
helpful for you.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that was.
All right.
But it also means that, like, you're not fishing for, like, you get the starter pack. I like this. This is great because you get the starter pack. You love it. You don't have to go buying booster after booster just to fish for that, other leader so I can make my own deck. Like, right away, first pack you open, you could be like, aha, I've got something new to try.
Yeah, exactly. You can absolutely jump in with leaders that you might not have done it. And if for draft and sealed, it's super fun to be almost forced into these decisions of who you're going to play with a leader.
Right.
Because otherwise you might just pick the same leader every time because you're like, well, I know that Leia Organa is awesome, so I'll be playing her. But if you don't draft her, that's not an option. Now you're stuck and you're like, okay, do I do IG-88 or Sabine Wren or Jyn Erso? Okay, these are my options. I got to play with somebody new.
And did you say
which
it
keeps it fresh.
was it 16 different leaders in the base set?
Yep, 16 plus Luke and Vader, so a
Gotcha.
total of 18 that will be out officially this Friday.
And then Phil in the chat makes the obligatory "never tell us the odds" comment.
Never tell us the. Thank you, Phil.
Right. That is a good point to mention. Is that we are the way that the timing ended up we are in between, like, pre-release weekend and release weekend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's super exciting. We were all visiting stores this past weekend, hanging out. I know a couple of us played in some pre-releases, which was really cool. But yeah, we are coming up very quickly. 2 days away now from the whole release, and everybody will have cards in hand and be opening booster boxes and enjoying the game. And so I'm really excited to see what people come up with for some of their decks and stuff, because with the limited card pool you get from a pre-release, you can only do so much. So as people open more and more cards, it's gonna be fun to see what decks people put together and start coming up with.
Yeah. So like, how is early reception going for the game? Like at
Oh,
least from like a storefront, like stores are buying lots, I'm assuming.
it's been super positive. I've seen great things coming out of the stores and players, and our communities that I've seen online have been growing very quickly over the last couple of days of people just getting like hearing good things, stopping by a pre-release that they were like, well, what's the worst that happens? I stop in, I get a couple cards, and I have a good time or not. And then it's been people turning around and going, wow, this game is incredible. How do I get more involved? Who do I talk to? Where do I start watching like people's content? How do I learn more about this game in the 7 days before I get to actually buy more of this? Which was really cool, and it's been super fun to see. And so yeah, it's been incredibly positive. I know that people are at the Gamma, which is like the retailers event this week, and it's I've just heard good things coming out of everywhere that we've looked so far. It's been really awesome.
And it's nice to see a CCG come out where you can actually get the product for, unlike certain other games that release that happen to be Disney related.
Yeah, it's we're hoping that we'll keep product in hands as much as possible, and that's the game plan. And because we want people to be able to play draft and sealed, and you can't play draft or sealed without packs, so
Yeah.
it makes sense to have them available, right?
I will say, is there any sort of like, because I know this has probably been in development for a while, but once you hear the news of like something like Lorcana coming down the line, just another big competitor with money behind it, was there a little bit of trepidation in there of like, oh no, is this space getting too crowded, or is that going to deteriorate any from people wanting to play our game?
No, I think it's been really great having more and more people coming around to the trading card game scene as well. We always say like the rising tide lifts off boats. If more people are coming in and playing these games and enjoying them, more people are getting to this hobby. We're building better communities around. So really, there's no trepidation at all for us. It's just been super fun seeing all these people get into the game into ours, into other games, and getting into the hobby. It's been super fun to see at like Gen Con and different events, PAX Unplugged I was at in December. And so yeah, it's been pretty incredible seeing the community around trading card games and our game specifically grow.
Gotcha. So we circled around a little bit on organized play. And we talked about the different formats, but you mentioned like promos and that sort of thing. How does that play in?
Yeah, so the organized play program is really exciting. I know that our organized play team has worked really hard on it. So there's two different sides to it. You have the competitive structure, which I could talk briefly about, but we don't have a lot of public information besides there's going to be competitive structure, and it's going to start later this year, and it will have planetary, sector, regional, and qualifiers, and then a galactic championship, where we'll celebrate, the life of the game and for that year, and some of the top players will come together and face off against each other. So that's super exciting. But besides that, we have the casual tier, which is starting now. That involves the pre-release. So there are pre-release kits. The boxes are a big part of that, but there's also judge promos that come with that to reward those who are in the community learning the rules to help run these events.
That's cool.
We also have, yeah, it's really cool. We want to make sure that people have resources and are rewarded for the hard work they're putting into this, even if they're not able to play the game because they're judging and doing different things. And so we also have our weekly play, which is like the bread and butter of the whole system. And so that has some different cards in it. There are 3-card packs that you get for showing up and participating in any way, shape, or form at your local game store. The game store can choose how they want to run it. If they want to run Twin Suns that week, they can do that. If they want to run draft, if they just want to have a trade night and say, hey, the first 16 that show up get these packs. Great. That sounds awesome. As long as you're building community and having fun and getting people together around the game. That's what it's all about. And so those 3-card packs come with cards, like I mentioned, are not mechanically different, but some of them are different art, different frames, different things like that, and they are just gorgeous. So I know that we have like one of my favorites is the General Dodonna OP promo, which is just incredible. So it's a whole different art and a whole different frame. And so some of these cards are foil, and it's just another way to collect some cool versions of the cards that you already have. But again, stores can really run it however they want, and that's why it's set up in that way. Is it's not we're not telling you what's best for you in your community locally. We want you to go out and ask players what they want to see, how they want to be participating, what's best for them. And so this is just a way to reward those players for coming out and having a great time together.
I like it. I like having that casual tier as well, so that you don't have to be super competitive to get some of the cool stuff, but you can if you want to.
You can if you want to. And so yeah, there's the third piece of the casual one is that part of being a little more competitive, which is the store showdowns. And so those are like the end not the end of that season sort of where you work towards it with weekly play up to this point where you have a store showdown, and that's when they run a tournament and you are able to, you get a participation prize, but then you also can get top players get another promo. Set ones is Mace Windu, and it's a foil promo with different art and different frame as well. And so that's our way to, this is the first step for a new player who's been playing casually and never played a TCG before.
Mm-hmm.
This is how they can first start stepping into that competitive tier without showing up to a planetary and being like, oh gosh, what do I do? How do these rules work? How do I cut my opponent's deck in an appropriate way? This is the way to ease yourself in, but also have some fun. Because it doesn't reward any tournament points or anything.
Yeah, and it just so happens that that the same people that own Asmodee or own FFG also own a company that makes a lot of accessories for games. So I imagine GameGenic is going to be putting out quite a few different Star Wars Unlimited accessories.
For sure. Yeah, there's some really, really cool stuff. I wish I had my deck box in this room with me right now. I actually have it in my backpack still because I was carrying it around to the office today with my decks in it. And so, yeah, they've got tokens and deck pods and more casual soft crates and sleeves and anything and playmats and, of course, the things that you need to play the game. And so I know this week made some announcements at Gamma about some of the upcoming products for set 2s with some teases in the art of what's on there, what might be coming in Shadows of the Galaxy, which is cool. But yeah, there's some really cool accessories that can go along with this that really enhance how it feels to play the game with like I really enjoy the tokens is one of my favorite things.
Of course.
I have a set of, yeah, it's nice to just have those big acrylic tokens, easy to move around the board. And I always bring 2 sets because I know some people have not been able to get their hands on them yet. So I'm like, oh, you can use mine. No worries. Like, enjoy them. That's what they're for. And so I always have 2 sets in my deck box.
Okay, how much of this stuff can we talk about? Because the website's live.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Can we talk about what I see on the website?
Absolutely.
Okay, y'all got some jokesters on this crew because there's a card called I Am Your Father. Deal 7 damage to an enemy unit unless its controller says no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is one of the best cards. And you'll notice that Luke Skywalker leader, his HP happens to be exactly 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is, some of the fun theme that they mixed in. I think that's a Jeremy Zwern card, one of our senior game designers. Because yeah, there's some fun ways to keep the mechanics simple and straightforward, but also have a lot of theme like that.
Now, I will mention also, if you want to see a full gameplay of we actually do have a video. You have to scroll back a few months, but we have a video with Jeremy Zern showing us how to play Star Wars Unlimited. So if you want to see the detailed breakdown on how a game actually goes, you can see that on the channel from Gen Con last year.
Nice. How did the game go with Jeremy? Did you win?
I did not play. I was the cameraman. But
Okay,
I believe it was my friend Sean was playing, and I believe he won. I think so.
Nice.
I hope so.
Hey, that's something to be proud of right there.
Yeah.
Jeremy does not lose very often, so any wins against him.
Now you have me doubting whether or not. Well, it's like it's weird because I was there watching every step, and because I had to watch the video several times when I was editing it, it's like I feel like I demoed the game even though I wasn't the one actually playing the cards.
Fair.
So, but you did say so. Set 2 has already been announced, and would you say Shadows of the Empire?
Shadows of the Galaxy.
Of the Galaxy.
So we've actually that's about all that we've announced. Besides the fact that the set 2 2-player starter will be Moff Gideon and the Mandalorian.
Ooh,
Oh.
I'm liking this already. Do you
Yeah,
have at
and
least
so
like an approximate timeline as to like when you're shooting for set 2 to launch?
So the plans, our release cadence will be every 4 months. So it'll
Okay.
be March, July, November. And so Shadows of the Galaxy will be in March. And the third set, we've announced the name, which is Twilight of the Republic. And that'll be in November.
That July release is awfully close to Gen Con.
Yeah, it is.
I can't wait to play some games with people with some Shadows of the Galaxy cards at Gen Con. It's going to be a ton of fun.
That sounds almost pre-planned. All right. Well, I have some Star Wars game goodness for us. Something to finish off the show with. And that is a return to Redditor Feud. So what I've got here is oops, I forgot the okay. What I've got here is I went on Reddit and I looked up the question, who is your favorite Star Wars character? And I found a post because Reddit, all the subreddits, you can look on there and search. There's questions about for everything. So I found the one that it was multiple times, but I found the one that had the most responses, and I've taken the top 8 answers and put them on here, and we're gonna see how well you guys think you know the internet. And so basically, what would happen is whenever somebody posted a character, if they say like the Emperor, then how many likes that response got, that's going to be the number, and that's how the ranking is determined. So the most popular answer is going to be the one that had the most likes. So Xander, since you're the guest, I will let you go first. Who do you think is the most popular Star Wars character?
I'm gonna have to go with Darth Vader as my first guess. Just classic. He begins and ends it. It's he's the guy. I don't know what else is there more to say. That's my guess for sure.
All right. Hey Philip, do we have like the clang? Is the clang on the soundboard, or is it just the X?
It's just the X.
Well, regardless, you are right, but you'd be surprised where it is. It's number 8 at 389 likes.
Whoa.
Is Darth Vader.
Dang.
So
well, I'm glad he's on there at least.
he's on just making the cut.
Yeah, gee.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So Philip, it's over to you next.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Let's see. The most liked Star Wars character. I'm gonna have to go with. Do we have different versions of this character? Like played by different actors?
I'm not gonna say that.
Okay.
But I will
gotcha.
say
Well,
this
I'm gonna
isn't-
go.
I will say that this is the only clue I'll give you. This is not limited to just movies.
Not limited to just the movies.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Let's go with. I will stick to a movie. Let's go with Obi-Wan.
All right. So coming up with number 2, we have Obi-Wan. So you can see kind of the disparity here. Obi-Wan coming in at 1,100 votes versus Darth Vader's 389. So back over to Xander.
I'm gonna go with Grogu.
Grogu. You would think so, but unfortunately, that is an on that one.
Oh, bummer.
There we go.
Really?
Get an X. Yeah, Grogu was not in the top 8. I just picked the one that had the most votes
or something. And, yeah. I will go with. So I already did Obi-Wan. Let's go with Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar. Is that a serious answer?
That is a serious answer, sir.
All right. Well,
Indeed.
that's an X there.
I went a little, newer stuff. Let's go back. Let's go Princess Leia.
Princess Leia. Princess Leia is also not on the list.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
2 X's now?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
So Philip,
Done
it is
with
back
Reddit.
to you. You got one X so far,
I have 1X. Okay.
and we have 2 people on the board.
That's right. 2 people
I
on the board.
promise
All
there are
right.
more.
R2D2.
All right. Yeah. R2D2 is on the board at number 7. R2D2
amazing.
more popular than Darth Vader at 421.
Less popular than Luke
Yep.
or Obi-Wan, because nobody said Luke yet.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, trust me, that was my next one. If Leia's not on there, though, I'm nervous about guessing Luke, but I feel like I have to guess Luke.
Oh, that's going to be a third X there.
Oh, man. This is brutal.
Yeah. So
What? Did people like people didn't watch Star Wars? That's what did.
yeah, well,
They just,
actually,
they saw some promotional material from McDonald's.
so
and-
that ends the game early. But Phil in the chat is right. Number 1 was Ahsoka Tano with
Oh, nice.
1,200 votes. Going through the rest, number 3 was Qui-Gon coming in at 687,
all right.
and then number 4 being Grand Admiral Thrawn at 566.
All right.
Number 5 was Boba Fett. Kind of surprised nobody said
Oh,
Boba Fett.
Yeah, should have went there.
And then the only one of the main 3, Han Solo, comes in at 424, just slightly above R2D2.
Jeez.
Oh, man. This is a wild list. Did it come out, I wonder, around Ahsoka coming out?
Let's see. I saved the link just in case they think questions like these come up. When
There we
was
go.
this post? As my internet takes forever for it to load. All right. It's loading. 3 years ago was when the post was. So that would have been
Okay,
like writing up to Obi-Wan coming out? No, that would have been like right after The Mandalorian started. When did The Mandalorian
That'd have been after
start?
Mandalorian started. Would that have been the final season of Clone Wars? The Clone
Maybe.
Wars, excuse me.
Could be.
That could have been.
So there
Also,
you go.
I saw a thing recently that Star Wars The Clone Wars
Yep.
is the CGI show.
Yep.
And just Star Wars Clone Wars is the Tartakovsky stuff.
Yep.
That got decanonized.
Yep.
Which the Tartakovsky Clone Wars was amazing.
I remember it existing. I don't remember much about it.
It was such one of the best scenes is they're in space and they're doing a space battle and Anakin yells over to one of the flights of fighters. He's like, fire all of your missiles across the bow of Cruiser 14. And they're like, sir, there's no enemies there. That's stupid. He's like, do it now, trooper. So they fire all their missiles and like you see Anakin, he's flying up in relation to the cruiser and like a couple missiles go by and then he flies through them and then the entire swarm of enemies behind him just merges with the missiles and takes out that whole flight. Like that's an amazing scene.
Well, now I have to go and find this.
Yeah, Tartakovsky Clone Wars is so cool, man.
That's true. That's true. The Ahsoka series was hyped up a lot so this would have been also around when they started teasing out all the new series coming out.
Oh.
So like it may
okay.
not have been when Obi-Wan came out, but it was probably around when they announced that the series was coming out.
Okay.
So
okay.
fair point from Phil in the chat room.
Thanks, Phil.
But that's all I've got. Xander, you got anything else you want to add about Star Wars Unlimited before we hightail it out of here?
I would say, the release is Friday, March 8th, so be on the lookout for that at your local game stores, and stay tuned. We'll be online at Unlimited FFG, and we are going to, not go quiet right after this. We're going to keep talking about Star Wars Unlimited with Spark of Rebellion and Shadows of the Galaxy coming out in July, so we're really excited for the release and this next adventure post-release, so stay tuned and look forward to seeing you all at events in the near future.
Is that Twitch for Unlimited FFG? Is that?
That is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then we do live streams every Wednesday for Star Wars Unlimited starting at launch. And that'll be at the Fantasy Flight Games YouTube.
Gotcha. All right, I'm going to play this special music. It's time for us to out of here.
That's been our show. We want to thank you for the special Wednesday edition of Boards and Swords. We want to thank Xander from FFG for coming in and talking about this amazing game. Chris and mine's wallets are now severely depressed.
Mine's smoking over here.
Yeah, it's they're crying. They're in pain right now. If you like what you see, you got to head over to boardsandswords.com/live. It's got the links and the schedule for where we're streaming and when we're streaming. Also, just check out Boards and Swords in general. It's got all of the stuff we have done in the past and maybe some cool stuff we'll do in the future.
All right. We love feedback. Send us your feedback. You can email us feedback@boardsandswords.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/boardsandswordspod. Or you can find me on Instagram at boardsandswords. Chris, TikTok/boards and swords. If you search your Boards and Swords on your site, there's a good chance it's either me or there's some British store over in in England that's also called Boards and Swords. It's probably one of us if it's not that. Or it's on Instagram where somebody's just holding holding it and just not doing anything with it, and it bothers me. But Philip already mentioned boardsandswords.com for links to everything else, like our Patreon. Make sure to check it out. Help support the show. We will be back in a week and a half with another show, which, Philip, get your music ready. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. We're going to be talking Halo. We're going to be talking the Halo minis game with Ronnie Renton from Mantic Games, so I am super excited about that. In the meantime, remember that every gamer has a story, and this one is not your father. It's always nice when it times that way.
There we go.
All right. Good night, everybody.